Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. Today we are very excited to share with all of you on our quick and engaging breakdown on liberalism in international relations. However, before that, I'm going to introduce to you our group member first, starting with our leader Natasha, Haiti, Izati, Faiza, and finally me, Almi. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's dive right into it. Liberalism is built on a few core ideas that basically say people matter, rights matter, and governments shouldn't do whatever they want. It starts with individual freedom, the belief that people should control their own lives instead of being ruled by authoritarian power. Then, we have equality before the law, meaning everyone deserves the same legal protection without special privileges. Liberalism also emphasizes consent of the governed. So, political power must come before people through democracy. Add economic liberty, which supports free markets, and tolerance and pluralism, which encourages diversity and free expression. Finally, liberalism believes in progress and rationality, trusting that society can improve through reason and reform. A real-world example of a country that strongly reflects these liberal principles is United Kingdom. The UK emphasizes democratic governance, rule of law, free markets, and protection of individual rights, all core elements of the liberal tradition. But scholars do highlight critiques. While liberalism protects rights, some argue it can overlook deeper inequalities, cultural traditions, or collective identities.
Liberalism as a political philosophy has been shaped by three towering figures. First, John Locke, the 17th century thinker, argued that individuals are born with natural rights like life, liberty, and property, and the government's only legitimate role is to protect these rights through a social contract between rules and the ruled. Locke's ideology influenced the American Revolution and the founding of the United States. Next, Adam Smith, writing in the 18th century, introduced economic liberalism. He described how an invisible hand guides individuals pursuing their own self-interest to unintentionally benefit society. Smith championed free trade and competition, laying the intellectual foundations of modern capitalism in his seminal work, The Wealth of the Nations. Finally, John Stuart Mill, a 19th century philosopher, expanded liberalism to include the harm principle, the idea that people should be free to do as they like unless they harm others. He also fervently defended free speech, women's rights, and a form of utilitarian ethics that values actions by their outcomes. Together, John Locke, Adam Smith, and John Stuart Mill form a powerful intellectual lineage defending personal freedom, markets, and individual responsibility as central pillars of liberal thought.
We begin with a world that has no global ruler, a condition called anarchy. As Eckstein and M2025 note, anarchy means there is no authority above states. But instead of chaos, liberals see anarchy as a space where cooperation becomes necessary. Anderson and Skamstert 2025 explain that even without central authority, states still create balance and order. Next is power. For liberals, power is not just military force. Barnett and Duval 2005 describe it as the ability to shape outcomes through relationships, either diplomacy, institutions, economics, and shared interests. Then we have sovereignty. According to Walker 2021, liberals view sovereignty as delegated authority, limited by law and accountability. States can choose to share sovereignty by joining international institutions to improve welfare and protect rights. Finally, liberalism emphasizes norms. Moravcsik 1997 explains that norms such as human rights, democracy, and rule of law guide what states see as legitimate behavior. Together, these core concepts, anarchy, power, sovereignty, and norms, show how liberalism believes cooperation and peace are possible in a complex world.
Guys, I just saw a post about liberalism.
What's this? I thought liberalism means like being open-minded, free speech.
Oh, I've heard of that terms too, but I'm not really sure what it means.
I know. Liberalism is basically in theory in IR that believe that countries don't always have to compete with each other. They believe that countries can work together through democracy, institution, and also economic ties.
So basically, liberalism is about cooperation?
Yeah, it says organization like UN and EU also help to solve problems peacefully. They can create rules, encourage communication, and also prevent misunderstanding.
Ah, that makes sense. Institution will reduce the chances of conflicts.
Exactly, like how UN peacekeeping in Liberia and Sierra Leone helped stabilize those countries. That is a real example of how cooperation is working.
What about people? Does liberalism care about human rights?
Of course, liberalism supports freedom, equality, and democratic values. Actually, democratic states usually settle disputes through discussion, not war. This is part of the democratic peace theory.
Oh, that's because democracy share the same system and principles, right?
Yes, and they have check and balances to make sure that war less likely to happen. But this sounds very idealistic. Is there any weaknesses? Yes, many actually. One major weakness is that liberalism sometimes ignore power. In reality, institutions can only work if powerful states allow them to. When powerful countries disagree, the cooperation will become much harder. Do we have a real life example of that?
Well, you can use the Israel-Palestine conflict as example. The UN has made many resolutions but often can be enforced because powerful states like the US use their veto. This shows that power politics can override cooperation.
It also sounds like liberalism assumes that countries are always willing to cooperate. Is that realistic? What do you guys think?
For me, it's not entirely realistic because liberalism tends to overlook how competition and security concerns shapes state behavior.
Example?
A clear example is the US-China trade war. Even though both countries rely heavily on each other economically, they still engage in competition through tariff, trade restriction, and technology bans.
Which shows that economic interdependence doesn't automatically guarantee peaceful relations, right?
Exactly. Cooperation can happen, but it's not always easy or balanced.
Alright, this makes a lot more sense now. Liberalism helps explain how cooperation, institution, and democracy can promote peace.
Yes, you're right, but also it has limitation, especially when power, politics, or national interests come into the picture.
Yes, understanding both the weakness and strength can give us a clearer picture of how international relations really work. Thank you guys for explaining. This will surely help our assignment.